Hola. Who's out there? Who's out there? Gentlemen, why so spicy about the thumbnail and the topic? What's going on? Hola, mi gente. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I'm YouTube's bad girl and your favorite devil's advocate. Admit it. Admit it. Let's take care of some bills right away so I can get my people up here because we're going to jump right into this. Fellas, y'all are spicy in the comments and we didn't even start yet. What's going on? Relájate. Everybody relax, okay? We're going to get through this stream, I promise. Relax, okay? Stand down, stand down, stand down. You guys know I am on the block with Jen across all the universe, okay? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. More importantly, on the block with Jen, Cash App, okay? If you want to support the Block Church, okay? Throw me a Cash App on the block with Jen, especially those of you who complain a lot. It really should be attached to some money so I can listen to you, okay? I should not be listening to this much complaining unless I'm married to you or fucking you. And I'm neither. So attach it to some money if you want me to listen, all right? You guys complain a lot. I do my best up here with my people, and you guys complain a lot, all right? Attach it to some money. Put your money where your mouth is, damn it. Again, find me on all social media platforms. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, what have you. On the block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to contact me personally about a collaboration, an interview, a topic you'd like us to dissect the way we do on the block, okay? You know, the block is not for the faint of heart, all right? Many are picked, few are chosen here. Again, if you've seen some of my last streams, sometimes it hurts being here. Sometimes it hurts being here. But you know what? You live and you learn from it. You live and you learn from it. This stream, this platform, this panel is not for the faint of heart. If you're going to bring it, okay, make sure that you don't mind when people bring it back. All right? It gets rough here. It gets rough here. I keep telling y'all that. I also keep telling you there are 50 million YouTube channels. So if this one perturbs your soul, get the fuck on. Otherwise, hold me down in the chat. Hold me down in the audience. I am happy you're here. If you're here for the very first time, where you been, baby? Buckle up. It gets bumpy here. But I promise, you're going to like it. You guys already got spicy on the thumbnail. Y'all got spicy. Hit that like and subscribe for me and let me bring my people up. They're always lovely and talented with the best faces for reactions in this madness we call YouTube. Lily from YB Limited. How are you, doll?
I'm good. I'm good. I came to be a human emoji board tonight.
Thank you. Let me tell you something. When I watch the playbacks and your faces, because I can't catch it while we live all the time because I'm watching everybody, but the playbacks, when I can relax and watch us, I am on the floor. Your faces and your leanings, I already know it's about to go down with your faces. No, Saint, how are you, sir?
Hey. Yeah, every time I hear you say the always talented, I'm waiting for my name to come out of your mouth. It's always you.
Darn.
It'll come. Just keep coming. Just keep coming.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a process, though. So it's a process.
Got it.
But shoot me your resume at ontheblock@gmail.
Got it.
Oh my! What's up, George Cook? George Cook already with the questions. He wants to know, define modern woman, please. I will. And here's the thing, like with any other trending phrase, everyone has their own definition. I like to keep things clean cut and clear. Quick Google. I may Google in the Urban Dictionary and then I may Google in the regular dictionary, right? So I can get both worlds because we all know definitions in the real world kind of change when you get to the Urban Dictionary, right? And then I take, a collection of what I've seen people say about modern women in these YouTube spaces, right? Because modern women, that phrase alone is very trendy on social media. And it's usually men, you know what I mean, doing these 3, 4, 5-hour streams about modern women being the enemy of all mankind, right? I think it's the opposite, and we're going to dissect it today. Of course, I use Rihanna. All right, she just made the cover of Vogue Italia. It was Italia, right, Lily? Was it Vogue Italia? British Vogue?
I believe it's British.
Okay, thank you so much for this super sticker, Jamal. I don't get a lot of super stickers, so thank you for that. Okay, so someone said in the chat already, they were like, oh, that thumbnail is wild. But I didn't take the picture. This is actually the cover of a magazine, and this is how they posed Rihanna and her baby daddy, A$AP Rocky. I didn't do it. Vogue did it. Vogue. Okay. Vogue has A$AP Rocky carrying the baby and walking behind Rihanna. I didn't do it.
That looks wrong.
Okay. We're going to talk about that because why is it wrong? Okay. Tonight's topic is, will men be forced to evolve with modern women? But before we even go another further, okay, for those of us have been under rocks, and you know what? Sometimes ignorance is bliss because all these little phrases I've learned since being on YouTube, I don't subscribe to them because they're not part of my world. I don't frequent spaces where men are worried about modern women, right? And I don't frequent spaces where women are like, I'm a modern woman. I just live. And then on YouTube, it's a whole other planet where people have these conflicts that are confined to this planet YouTube. So I literally have to look up meanings like high value man and modern woman and sitting in my masculinity and sitting in my femininity. Well, there's so many definitions that just got warped on YouTube. So before I go further, let's just really briefly, I did a quick Google modern woman. This is what came up on Google. And you guys can add in the chat if you like, what's a modern woman to you? And how you feel the modern woman is going to be the death of society. Yeah. Okay.
Not so guns it's or nothing like
right.
That.
Not guns, not
nuclear bombs.
Not opium. No, not fentanyl. None of that. Not big pharma. No. Not, none of that. Okay, so modern woman, it says here, if you do a quick search, and let me tell you that picture of Rihanna and A$AP is absolutely fabulous. It is so fabulous. I like it. Okay, so it says here, a modern woman is basically a woman who, because I have so many screenshots. Sorry, guys. Okay, it says here, the modern woman has the balance of being able to show a soft and supportive side while at the same time demonstrating strength. She is resilient, knows what she wants, and speaks her mind. Okay?
I like her.
I don't see anything bad yet. I don't see anything that can lead to the destruction of humanity thus far.
No nuclear bombs in her purse. Maybe in her purse.
Maybe.
Keep reading. It might be in there.
Okay. It says, this was interesting, this part of it, because the reason why I said evolve, right, is because what do we hear all the time, right? Well, men want women to be traditional, the traditions that their mamas had, like cook them dinner, go to work, right? Have their babies, raise the babies, talk life into the husband, hold it down at home, and then also work, or just hold it down completely at home and don't work at all, which in itself is laughable, because the modern man, right, needs his woman's purse to run a home, right? I'm talking about the modern average man. Modern average man, he'll tell you inflation, groceries are expensive. You need 2 incomes now. It ain't like back in the day. So it's interesting that men want women to go back to what it was back then, but they kind of evolved into a man that needs a woman financially. So this is layered. This is going to be a layered topic. It's going to be a layered topic. So it says, when asked what this would have meant, what a modern woman would have meant, right? 5 decades ago, it says 41% suggested delicate and sweet, right? 53% said being a good mother and caring. But the new modern woman is very different. We're talking 5 decades later. And that's why I said evolve, because 5 decades later, we're talking about a new type of woman. But men are still stuck in the, no, I want her to be like my mama. My mama's home. My mama cook and raise the kid, but I want her to be like my mama, right? So the new modern woman is very different. 40% of women suggesting it means being independent, loyal, confident, and graceful. So that's different from 5 decades ago, where women described it as delicate and sweet and being a good mother and caring. Now, I'm still not seeing how describing a woman as loyal, independent, confident, and graceful, I still don't see how that's the enemy of man yet. Okay. And you guys can, I still don't see her being the enemy of men yet. Women also declared modern woman means choice.
Oh,
okay.
But then
choice.
Now we're fault. Now I'm finding what the problem is. But keep going. I'm seeing this is. I don't know why they're giving women choices, but go on.
Okay. Go on. Okay. I'm gonna go on because it gets better. All right. Modern woman has a choice, whether it's working their way up the career ladder or being a stay-at-home mom, or choosing the single life over love and marriage. Cue thunder and lightning.
Oh, there we go. 3 choices?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh, God. Okay, wow. And so they also get the choice of whether they want to participate in a traditional relationship or not, or be single.
Yeah. Lily, are we veering into being enemy of man yet? Are we veering into? We're getting close.
Yeah, I think we're getting very like I can see how the world is going to end because of this. I see it, but go on. This is starting to make more sense.
Right, because choosing the single life over love and marriage. I don't think men are gonna like her.
Yeah,
I don't think I like her. Yeah. So in today's contemporary society, women are also confident leading a business meeting, standing up to the boss if necessary, and having an ambition to promote women in the workplace. Okay. So there are a couple of traits that define modern women. I went over a couple of them. I'll give my own personal opinion. The panel will too. And then we could go into, I have 30 traits that are solid to describe modern women, and we'll go over them 10 at a time, okay? Because it's literally 30. I don't want to read 30 things back to back. So as we speak, I'll do like 10 at a time to describe what the modern woman is today in 2023. And we'll see if we can find, right? Because YouTube loves the word resolve. So we'll see if we could find some resolve where men and women can meet in the middle. I say men have to evolve with the modern woman, but some men are like, no, we're not going to evolve. We got to evolve, but we're not to match up to her, which doesn't make sense, because if you are a male who wants to be with a woman, I would think that you should go with the flow, because guess what's not going backwards? Women are not going backwards. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Fuck up and give people choices, they're not going to get them back. But
And we can liken that to out in nature. In nature, you take something out of a cage and you put it and you make it free. Unless it's brainwashed, it's not going back in the cage. It's just not going to. If it has the option to roam free, it's not going to, let me go back in that cage like I was 5 years ago. It's just even in nature, choices change people. Choices change people.
Okay.
And it seems like men are hell bent on keeping it down to that one choice: stay at home or work and raise these kids, right? I'll bring up George Cook. What's up, George Cook?
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear
yes,
you.
we can hear you loud and clear. So I'll leave this list on the side and we'll talk a little bit. And I'll throw the list out a little bit. Now, I saw you jumping up.
Yeah.
to say something. I think you're evolving too quickly. Ladies first. We're gonna go with Lily.
Actually, you know what? I wanted this. I have a lot to say, but I see it. I see it. I feel the energy coming from No Saint.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna let because I'm really curious to hear from a man.
Okay.
And then we can follow up.
So
See, see, Lily made that choice.
Yes, she did.
Go on, No Saint.
So I got a couple of things just to make it interesting in this conversation because I
absolutely,
I'm
ready.
I absolutely think that the evolution of society has been beneficial to women, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody should be stuck in a bad marriage, or anybody should have to depend on somebody else and have to lower their expectations of what they think they deserve or what they deserve. So I'll say that. But there are a couple of things. You're right. Things aren't going back as long as we are in a society that can sustain that. So in other words, if 50 years from now, the United States splits off into different countries and you're stuck in Louisiana, which would be a very poor country, that might change because you might have to come closer together and have more people, right? So when you say that it'll never change, hopefully not. Hopefully it won't, but you can never guarantee it. That kind of depends on if economics dictates that you don't have to come together and rely on rely on each other. Whether it's your family. I mean, in Central America and some other countries their families are bigger and they help each other out. And in America, we don't have to do that. In fact, we kind of raised not to do that. Like as soon as I can get out of my parents' house, The other thing I want to say is I read some things that are interesting. And so when you say that women, and I'm not going to blame this completely on women, but I am just for the sake of having fun with it. This population collapse in these different countries, including the United States, although we use immigration to boost our numbers, is kind of the woman's fault. Because when you look at people having kids, the people that are having 4 or more kids, that's remained the same since the 70s. The people that are having 3 or more kids remains the same. The thing that's changed are the people that are having 1 or more kids. So it used to be, say, 1 in 10, or let's say 1 in 10, or let's just say 3 in 10. I don't. These aren't the exact numbers. I can look them up though. These are things that they've been measured. So say if 3 in 10 people that had 1 kid, or had a, let's say, let's make it easy. Let's say 3 out of 4 couples had 1 kid, and the 4th couple had 0. Well, that's now gone down to 1 couple's had 1 kid and 3 have had 0. And they're saying because they're saying people like women are waiting longer. Sometimes they may want to have children later in life and they can't have children in life. Whatever it is, though, it's causing a deduction in Italy, Germany, China, Japan, Korea, all these places where we have modern economies where people have moved into cities and careers have and men and women can both have careers. Women want to wait. I understand why, because they're starting their career and maybe they don't want to wait. Maybe they don't want to wait. Or it could be that, and they said in Japan, for instance, when they had a huge downturn, sort of like in 2008 in the United States, people got scared to have kids, But at least as I know, if you have 1 kid and you can handle 2 kids, handling 3 is not. Going from 1 to 2 is big. And I'm sure going to 0 to 1 is really big too. But yeah, I just read that. I just happened to look over this. I saw this whole thing where they're saying that these things are because people that were having 1 kid, now it's a lot less. It's maybe 1 out of 4 instead of 3 out of 4. So 25% of people that have 1 kid instead of 75% of the people that are having 1 kid. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Okay, so let me say this before I pass the mic. It sounds to me then women are making the best decision ever because we can't even control our homeless population.
Right.
There are children that are starving. Schools are overpopulated. A lot of things have turned to shit because people are having children with abandon that they cannot afford in this economy. So I may sound a little Bill Gates-ish right now, but let's talk population control. And then I'll pass the mic.
Actually, that's where I was going to go with it, Jen. I'm going to need the Census Bureau Bill Gates and them, the World Economic Forum, and all the UN, everybody, I'm gonna need y'all to get together and pick a struggle. Is it that like really, is it the fact that is the problem the fact that we're not having enough children to, because what they're saying is and now I finally got a question answered this morning. You know how we always say 2.5 kids, right? So I used to be like, what the fuck? How do you have 2.5 kids? Well, duh, it's just the average or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're saying that we need 2.1 to replace ourselves because one is not enough. We need another one to replace ourselves, right? Okay, so on one hand, that's one talking point, but then on the other hand, they're like, oh no, we need to have population control. There's too many of us. I fall more so on the population control side because I'm like, we have, oh my God, I travel a lot. The homeless population is getting worse in cities that didn't used to never have homelessness. Minnesota, Colorado, places that are so damn cold, people didn't want to be homeless. They're homeless now, okay? We have orphanages that are overrun. The kids are not getting, not being loved and properly cared for and things like that. So my thing is, I feel like the younger population is a lot more informed about what came before them and are able to make more informed decisions based off of our mistakes, things that we did right or not so right, or what looks appealing versus what is being shoved down our throat day in and day out. Like they're able to be like, yeah, I know y'all saying that we're supposed to do it like this because that's how you did it, your mother did it, your grandmother did it, but I don't like the results that you got. So I'm going to try something different. Not saying that is right or wrong. They're just choosing to try some shit different, right?
Well, they have a lot more choices too.
They have a lot more choices, and I'm so here for it. I've always said, even in the old world, I've always been one to say, wait before you have children. I don't believe everybody should have children. I don't believe everyone should be married. But if you do want to get married, we at least wait to 30 for both of those things, because all of us are well over 30, and we know the difference as a person, like the changes we make and things like that. I have no children. I just have, of my own. I just have a bunch of children in my life. And it's just that it's like what you said, though, saying going from 0 to 1 is such a life shifter. I talk to my brother a lot, and he has 2, they're Irish twins. And like I was telling him, oh yeah, Bessie and I were getting up and going to LA on Friday. He was like, shit, like I want to just get up and go to LA.
Yeah.
Like I just want to,
that's true. That is
Yep.
And so yeah, I'm looking at a lot of those things. So oh God, right. it was some other.
So you said, hold on a minute. So you Lily, you said something very, very important. You said that it was right on the corner of my everyone shouldn't get married and everyone shouldn't have children. I think that has to be drilled in the minds and heads of youth. Like you have to let them know, just because you're a human being and have a womb or a penis with sperm in it, it does not mean you should utilize these things, right? To create life or to marry someone. Everyone is not built for marriage. Everyone is not built to be a parent. Okay, it's an arduous task. Okay, it's not just, oh, these organs make other people, let's use them because that's what the other people before me did. Everyone is not meant to be married, and everybody's not meant to be a parent. And I think that we can look at it like we looked at our parents and we're like, oh, I want to do something different. Our kids will probably look at us and be like, oh, I want to do something different, and so on and so forth. I just want to address this comment real quick, and we'll pass the mic to George because he hasn't said anything yet. Jamal, this comment I'm picking out because it's important. You said you think the women in Ukraine hollering they don't need a man right now. Let's hope that never happens in America. The problem with the show is, will men be forced to evolve with modern women? I'm not in the belief that women don't need men. That's not what that means. That's not what that translates to. When I said men, will they be forced to evolve with modern women? That's different from a woman saying, I don't need no man, which, by the way, I think grew some big hairy legs and ran, because the majority of the population of women don't say that, don't feel
But
that
that's how
way.
they hear it.
That's how they hear it. That is not what I'm saying at all. Evolving is not, it doesn't mean that you're not needed. So rock with me, but I want to pass the mic to George. George, how are you, darling?
I am doing well, and hello to everyone. Yeah, before I'm trying to think of. I agreed a lot with what Lily just said about, especially about waiting to get married, waiting to have kids. Not everybody's meant to be married. Not everybody's meant to have kids. I totally agree with you. Where I think the rub is that men have been evolving to the modern woman over the last 50, 60 years. I'll give you a few examples. Okay. I'll just take television sitcoms. You started seeing it in the 60s, or let's back up to the 1950s, Leave It to Beaver. And Ward Cleaver and June, I think that was her name, in that relationship, I didn't really see Ward Cleaver as being like domineering over her, but he was clearly like the head of the home, but she had an important say in what went on. It was kind of, almost balanced in my view. Then you start going into the 1960s and you start seeing roles written. And Jen, I want to pick your brain on this, because you know how you're a writer, you're a screenwriter. If there's a certain viewpoint you want to push, in that there's a way that you can cast characters to make them look a certain way.
Yep.
So let's just take Bewitched. I think all of us on this panel remember the show Bewitched.
Yep.
Remember Samantha? She was the wise, learned, enlightened. She was a witch, right? But she was always she was quick-witted, and all that. And then her husband, Dick York, was one of the characters. I can't remember his character. Darren? Yeah. He was dim-witted. He was prone to acting out, emotional, making bad decisions, whatever. And she was always trying to bail him out. Mm-hmm. And then if you remember the mother-in-law, Endora, always reminded her, this was a bad choice. I told you not to get with that guy, And then rolling on into the 1970s, let's take Three's Company. Okay. Now that one, I could talk a lot about how that show addressed certain societal taboos at the time. And I doubt that show could be produced today, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's beside the point. But even in that, Mr. Roper, what was he depicted as? A bigoted, homophobic, misogynist male. Advertisements. I remember, let's move into advertising. I remember in the 1990s, I started seeing commercials about how, I think it was in the 2000s. It was one of those commercials for careerbuilder.com. And in there, the woman says, I work with a bunch of jackasses. And so in the background are these donkeys that all had on pants and ties. So there's like this association with steadily casting them as idiots, as people that are not capable. I went through corporate America in the 80s and into the 90s. I saw, and there were some good things that happened where men had to evolve in terms of sexual harassment. But even that went, in my opinion, some of it went too far. And so about now, men, not wanting to approach women or, about at work or whatever, because, hey, look, they don't want to get, I've seen it happen. Dude gets called in, she does. In other words, give you an example, and I'm sure you've seen this. Let's just say, Jen, you like No Saint, but you like when No Saint tells you look nice for today. But me, you don't like me, but I tell you look nice, and you're ready to call HR. And they're going to take your side. They're going to say, I used to work in HR for 5 years. I can tell you right now, if you're a man and you get accused of that, if they don't outright fire you at that point, you basically, your career's over at that company. because you're blacklisted. Okay. So there's things like that that have been built in where men have evolved, and it's kind of like it's the kind of thing that's where certain things that needed to change, it's gone too far in one direction, in my opinion. Okay. And I think with our society, and you hit on this, one of the reasons why you don't, Lily and you, Jen, I think, and I don't know about no saying about holidays, you don't celebrate them. And you talked about the materialistic attitude that we have in this country. And it's on both sides, but whether it's man or woman. But I'm seeing a lot of where on these red pill channels, manosphere, whatever you want to call them, they'll throw up dating profiles, and I'll tell you about one here in just a minute, where the woman is just absolutely ridiculous, like the 6 foot man, the six, all the sixes. He's got to have all of this and all of that. It's like a checklist for a washing machine. Okay, and so it's that kind of thing, where, like for me, one just as an add to that, support that. I was on Match.com one night, and I'm not on those apps anymore. Didn't work for me at all. So I'm not in the top 10%. So,
Well, I think, okay.
Yeah,
So I think that, I think men, you remember penis envy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have penis envy. I think men have vagina envy, to be quite honest. They have female envy. Women have many, many, many more options, regardless of what we look like. And it's not the same for men, right? So when a man hears a woman say, "I want 666," and I've said that on a dating show in jest, right? Because it's the thing to say, right? I can get 666. I can get 666 without a job. I can get 666 being a waitress somewhere. I don't need any. I don't need any qualification. All I got to do is show up and be nice to a guy and walk out with 666, right? George Clooney, he picked up a freaking waitress, waitress, right? Who had nothing but a waitress job, right? That is the luxury of being a woman. And I think sometimes that bothers men, where you can't do that. You can't be a waiter somewhere and I walk in and you walk out with me, right? Or another, beautiful woman. I do want to address this real quick because this is hilarious to me. Jamal dropped some good comments. He says the first woman, Eve, betrayed her man and was led by the devil, history repeating itself. What I think happened actually in the Garden of Eden was that Adam was a horrible leader, because a good leader would have made sure she put that apple the fuck down. Okay, that's what a good leader would have been. But it's probably more so maybe she was a modern woman, right? And he didn't evolve with her, and therefore ended up being the victim of the quote unquote devil, if we're going to use the fairy tales in the Bible.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna hit you with something. The devil did not lie to Eve. He did not lead her down there. He told her the truth. He told her if she partaked with that apple, she would get the knowledge of good and evil, and immediately they knew they were naked.
Well, you're forgetting one part that he threw out.
Did not tell a lie. In fact, the devil never tells a lie, and the devil doesn't kill one person in the Bible. It's all God. God kills the devil can't do anything without God's permission. Yeah, God's the biggest. He's worse than Hitler, really.
He's a sociopath sometimes.
A mass murderer. God is a mass murderer. And stay tight, guys, because I'm gonna do a stream one day. Is God a racist? Hold on. Let me tell you, I'm bringing the big guns. I'm bringing the big guns to get to that 5K subs. I promise you.
That's going to be a good one.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. So yes, Haran, Thanos was right. I mean, I love me some Thanos. I really do. So I wanted to really quickly, since we all spoke, I want to go, remember I said there were 30 things of the modern woman. I'll just run through 10, right? Or we could do 5 at a time. So modern woman characteristics. 1, wearing what you want. That might be jeans and trainers one day and a dress with heels on another. That's interesting because we even had some gentlemen on the panel who have said their women can't wear X, Y, and Z. So there are still men, you know what I mean, dictating what their women can't and can't wear. And apparently here on this list, women are like, I'm wearing what I want, and you got to deal with it. Two, believing women should be paid the same as men in the same roles, believing women have the same rights as men, happy to manage their own money, not feeling like they need to get married or have a long-term relationship, feeling able to live their life as they choose and do whatever they want, giving their sons and daughters the exact same choices and opportunities, happy to express their emotions, not feeling like they need to have children, and not feeling like they have to wear makeup, but love it if they choose to do so. And I'll just pick one out of here that sticks out to me, which is giving your sons and daughters the exact same choices and opportunities. I think, okay, in growing up in my home, the boys were revered, right? I told you guys before, they were the princes and kings, even if they didn't have a kingdom. Okay, the boys were important, right? And in Puerto Rican culture, a lot of the men used to say, if it was a girl child, they would be like, oh, another pair of sandals was just born, right? As opposed to when a boy was born. And I used to hate that my dad used to take my brother to do things that I wanted to do. Okay, I used to be furious. Like, why can't I go to the junkyard? My dad used to get like car parts and shit like that. I'm like, I want to go to a junkyard. Or when they went to the boxing gym, right? Like, I'm like, why can't I go to the boxing gym? I had to learn that shit on my own because my father was like, no, you're a girl, you don't box. And I'm like, but I want to go, right? Yeah. Even a martial arts class, I'm like, I want to go. But my dad was like, no, you're a girl, they don't do it. You know, so I'm glad that the modern woman is giving opportunities to both her son and her daughter, because you never know. I think you limit a child when you put that gender thing on them. Like, no, women don't do this and men don't do this. And I was like, I want to fucking go. And honestly, my brother, okay, is an artist. He wanted to be an architect. And my dad forced him into sports. You know who wanted to be in sports? This guy. Okay. But he wouldn't take me because I had titties. Right. So that goes to show that is proof right there. He should have left my brother alone with his artwork and things like that. Took me to the damn gym. I was with it. Yeah. I was with it. So that's an important lesson when you're raising your children. Don't limit them to their fucking gender, por favor. And I'll pass the mic.
Wow. You know what? That one right there, I'm going to go deeper into my experience with what you just said when we do my movie, because that's a really, really big part of my life. And what fucked me up was trying to force gender roles on me that naturally I didn't gravitate to. As opposed to my brother. My brother was the stereotypical and, you know, all of that stuff. So I'll get more into that at that time or whatever. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I will say this. I know you didn't lie because this is your Puerto Rican experience. But mm-hmm. My closest friend here in New York, when I was growing up in DC, my closest friend that used to come up to visit, she's Puerto Rican. Born and raised, New York, Puerto Rican. And I saw what you said with my own eyes because I was very close with her and her family. And I was just like, her brothers was allowed to just do anything they wanted to do. Anything. This girl couldn't leave her front yard by herself until she turned 18.
Jen, but weren't your brothers responsible for you? In other words, your dad looked to them like if Jen was some dude was giving you problems, he expected your brothers to go take care of it.
Yeah, just one brother, and yes, mm-hmm. Yes.
So yeah. There's an anecdotal story of, you know, the coach Vince Lombardi. He would never let his daughter he wouldn't let her out on the football field because he mm-hmm. said that women didn't belong on the football field. It just, mm-hmm. as you were talking about sports and all that, made mm-hmm. me think of it. But yeah, you're right in that it's evolved pleasantly so in that direction where you know, when you were talking about that, I was mm-hmm. thinking about my own father and I was like, well, no, he wasn't that strict. But the one thing that stood out to me, and I just want to get y'all's opinion about this, where when the thing about the woman dresses, the freedom to dress the way she wants, mm-hmm. Men that I know and how I kind of think of it in a sense. It's like, I understand you love your body, and if you got it, show it off, because that's kind of like how I came across you in the first place, right?
Hey, welcome, George.
So it's like, but at the same time, it's like once you're paired, once you two come together as a couple, married, whatever, it's kind of like, if you're still dressing that way and you're going to work, and I'll give you the example. Okay. The mini skirt that's just right below her business. Right. Okay. And she's wearing the thigh high. She's got it all decked out. Right. And then, and it's kind of like, well, why are you dressing that way? Because men know how men are. And
so do women.
And they're going to hit on her. And he tends to think, well, she's doing that to get attention from them, and instead of him. And so whether you think I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just telling you that's the dynamic that I see going on. So I guess my question is, do you think that women, yes, they have the freedom? It's kind of like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So when you're in a relationship, like that, do you think they need to dial it back a little bit, or do you say, no, fuck that, they just whatever they want to do?
Okay, so that's a fucking great question. Really quickly, I want to acknowledge Haran won't be on with us tonight. He's being a good daddy, spending time with his daughter, and he'll be back for Freaky Friday. Everybody watching, okay, if you remember our Freaky Friday with the Doms and the Subs, our gentleman will be back, okay, to talk about it again. But we'll go a little deeper. So he will be back. You guys remember, I had the Dom here, the master, so he is coming back. So if you missed that episode, you're going to want to catch him this go round. So Haran will be back Freaky Friday. He got to get with his family. Great question, George. And here's the thing. A younger me, right? Not the modern Jen, but a younger me would have been like, hey, you're in a relationship. You better cover up now because all your goods belong to that man. Now, as an older, wiser woman, here's what I would say. Human beings have the tendency to see the van coming and jump in front of it and then blame the driver, right? If you met that woman and her mini skirt was just right there, right? And her boobs were up to here, right? That is what attracted you. That is why you wanted her. I think it is asinine to get with her now and then, talk about this. Well, I'm with you now, so you have to cover up. What you should do, sir or ma'am, right? If you see a woman that looks and dresses that way, that's not the woman for you. But what human beings want, right, is they want that woman, and then they want to mold that woman into what they really want. So do you want it or don't you want it? And I think that's your responsibility, right, to know exactly what you want, not what you're lusting for, but to know exactly what you want, because this is what leads to divorce. I think you meet this person changes for you, then they start feeling trapped, because guess what? That woman internally is really the girl that likes showing her tits and ass. That is who she is. Otherwise, she wouldn't have done it. So then she conforms to you. Then she starts feeling trapped. She starts feeling bored. My life was more exciting when my tits were out, and a lot of guys were giving me attention. Now I'm with this lump on a log. He's watching football all day. No one's looking at me. I'm on Instagram. I'll start showing my tits on Instagram. And then men, hey, big head, I remember you from high school. What's going on? All of that could have been avoided. All of that could have been avoided had you accepted who she was as is, or found you a woman that dresses in turtlenecks.
Yeah. Now, I want you to, from my point of view, it's like, just my preference is always that tastefully. It's like for me, the women I prefer are the one they dress sexy, but it's right there on that line from professional to. It's just they hit it just right. But
that's what I like. I like that. That's the style I like.
Just said, that's that point of view, Jen. I'm glad you asked me or I mentioned that, because I got to tell you, I hadn't really thought about the thing about you jump in front of the van. You see the van come, you jump in front of the van, you blame the driver, and I cause internally I've kind of fought with that internally, like hey, well, why am I jealous? Why am I feeling insecure? Why am I all of these things? And it's kind of like, well, if she's going to cheat, if I'm doing it's kind of like I got to come back to, if I'm doing my job and she still cheats, then I need to get rid of her anyway. So that's the whole thing right there in a nutshell. It's like, she's going to go out on me, and it's kind of like, and like you said, if that's what the point you just made about what you're lusting for versus what you want, what you need. And that's,
and for the record,
really
women,
way of thinking about it.
For the record, women who dress conservatively also cheat.
Right.
If they're not happy,
they're going to go find it.
They're going to cheat. Thank you for this. Thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. Don Levon says, but if Jen's man was to walk out of the house with some tight gray sweatpants with his bulge showing, she will make him change. I'll beat his ass.
Right.
I'll beat his ass. But you see, this is why, again, with age comes wisdom, because I know I am not, you have to know what you're built for. I'm not built for relationships. I'd rather mess around with the guy in the gray sweatpants and then do me. You know what I mean? As a modern woman, that's just me. You don't have to agree. You don't have to like it. But again, the modern woman, one of the things on the list was I don't have to choose a long-term relationship, and I don't have to choose marriage and still be happy as people are when they're married. So yeah, I would know that in a committed relationship, that shit's going to bother me. I'm like, you just taking your dick outside? You're just going to show everybody your dick in the gray sweatpants? Right. But if him and I are casual, then I'm happy. He's happy. No one's stressing anybody out.
Right.
I know my limits. I know my limits.
Right before the show, I was on the phone with one of my girlfriends, and we were having this conversation. And I'm so happy that, I'm happy to hear women talk like you, Jen. And this is the thing. I like the variety of women. I like the Briennes and the Jens and the Shelleys and the me's. Like I love that, because those options, there are many options available, and in today's society, the woman can pick what's realistically her option, because I feel like with that type of honesty, that can possibly lead to less divorce rates, because you have less women getting married because they think they're supposed to, or having children because they think they're supposed to. That honesty piece just kind of, because it gives the other person the option to opt out or not, to be,
And let me say this: it's a two-way street, George, because women that like being that way, dressing that way, being free-spirited, right? I had to learn me, because I'm a very free-spirited individual. Yet I kept finding myself in long-term relationships, which after a while dim your light. Right? Because you're not meant for it, but your mama did it, your grandmama did it. So it must be something you're supposed to do. But we're all different. And being long-term relationship, it does diminish your light. Why is it that when people break up, they're like, oh, look at you, you glowing. Look what? Because you go back to who you are. You go back to who you are. You're no longer that little bird, right? With your wings wrapped around you. Like, I'm in this relationship, I got to compromise. You go back to who you are, right? And we see the jokes online, like, oh, after you break up, you look better than when you were with me, because she went back to who she really is. That's why. Right. But on the flip side, women also have to know themselves, which rarely human beings know themselves. If you know you're the type that likes to dress like that, you have to understand that in a committed relationship, that's going to bother a man. That's going to bother a man. So a woman also has to think, do I want to commit long-term, knowing that I like showing my ass, knowing that I like showing my tits? So there has to be accountability on both sides, but both sides are pressured into long-term in marriages. So everybody's coming into commitment, not being built for it. What's up, Reese?
What up, y'all?
Hey, man.
Hey.
So,
Jen, it's funny about what you just said about, how you look better after you leave somebody or whatever, or split up from somebody. I never experienced that. Any woman I mess with improves the next day automatically. She's better than what she was before. It's that simple. And if you
mean when you wake up with her?
No. After meeting me, right, and after knowing me, you're going to be better off than you were before. I don't care who you are on earth.
And why is that?
And because I know what I'm doing, and I know how to preserve life and improve it and have high quality of life, which most people don't. And when you
and how do you do that? How do you do that? So let's teach the people. How do you improve a woman's life to where she looked dull when you met her, and then she's going out there? How do you do that?
Health. It happens at the table, at the dinner table. That's it. It could take me hours to explain all that, but that's where it happens, at the dinner table. And I know this is true because I've helped like dozens of chicks, even in the friend zone. I'm even talking about chicks I was in relationships, just improve their lives, and they were grateful for it decades later, years later. You know what I'm saying? And if a woman does look better after she stops dealing with me, it's because of something that she gripped along the way. You know what I'm saying? And I also heard you made a comment about sports. Daddy didn't want you to play baseball and all that.
Baseball.
Well, whatever, boxing,
box.
whatever it is that you want to do, understand that men created those sports for themselves. So make your own sport. But if you want to participate in men's sports, keep it fair. Go against me.
I was a kid. Wait, whoa, where are you going? Like, you just ran out the park with it.
If you want to play ball, play against me. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
The hell with the women in their own league. That's not what y'all want equality, right? So you suit up with us and play against us and with us. Like the team will have men and women on it.
I will pass the mic.
Listen, I want to get in just because I wanted you to come back earlier before it kind of got away from this. But I just wanted to say to something Lily said earlier. I agree. Like as far as we have a lot of homeless, a lot of unwanted children. Some of that is most of that is politically, depending on what country you live in, economics, political. Like we have enough money in this country to get people off the street. It's just where do we prioritize that money? We have enough money for mental health, but we put it in other things like military and other sectors. We have plenty of money to. Okay, that being said, my point wasn't everybody. You're right. Some people shouldn't have kids. I'm not talking about whether they should or shouldn't. What I'm saying is places like China and these countries, Germany, Japan, the problem is that their generations that have more people are starting to get old. And so you don't have enough younger people to support that anymore. And so you're talking about an economic collapse like in China that's going to happen, a big collapse because you have to have kids for the system. Now, what happens 100 years now if the system collapses and we're in a place where we have, say, 4 billion people? Maybe it ends up being better. I'm just saying in the near future, we don't have enough people being born to support the older people that are getting out of their prime age of making money and supporting through taxes. And eventually they're going to need medical care. And there's not enough kids underneath. So it used to be in the 70s, they thought we were going to have an overpopulation problem. Now they're starting to say, no, we're going to have a population collapse.
Which shows they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Well,
and there's a lot more
things
that's going to cause us to have a collapse.
To be fair, though, back when they were saying overpopulation, we didn't have the green revolution with fertilizers to grow enough food. Now it's different. We're in a different science kind of got us out of that hole because they used to say after 4 billion, we weren't going to have enough. I think in 1970 or something, they were saying we weren't going to have enough food to support more than 4 billion. Well, now we're at 8 billion. And there's plenty of food. It's just getting it to those places like North Korea where the government is, there's a lot of political games.
But no, Saint, let me say this. In every government around the world, right, there's enough money on the planet. There's enough food on the planet. There's enough for everything and everybody. Yes. Don't you think whether there's we're overpopulated or underpopulated, the powers that be are always going to fuck it up because of greed? They're always going to fuck it up. Yeah. Forget women and having children. They will always fuck it up because the 1% likes being the 1%.
That's it. Yeah.
They like it there.
And that's the bottom line. That goes back to my billionaire shouldn't exist comment that like people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that. And that's part of the reason why I say it because it's hoarding wealth. That's the problem. It's not population and one children rule and no children rule and all this other stuff. It's not that. It's a million other things before we get to that.
What if he worked hard for it or designed something that made the entire mankind better? I think they deserve to be petty.
I still don't care, Reese, because the thing is, there is, and let me also be very clear because I think people hear something else when I say this. I think that people, you know how that goes. I think they hear that I'm against wealth or I'm against generational wealth, which I'm totally not against. I believe in wealth. I believe in generational wealth. I believe in being comfortable and wealthy and all of those things. I'm just saying, how much do you fucking need? Right?
I kind of don't believe in generational wealth.
I mean, but hey, I'm being nice. I'm being nice.
No
I'm being nice.
nepotism for you?
I'm okay
yeah.
with it. I'm okay with it.
No?
I feel you, no say, because
Yeah.
I have my beliefs on that too. But I'm being nice.
What? What is going on today? Take that mask off, no say. Are you black under there?
I'm with them.
Like
So let me-
Scooby-Doo.
Just like I did. That's basically your position.
Well,
right
I'm
there.
saying,
Right.
and I don't. Let me think of somebody besides the former president.
What's wrong with nepotism?
Well, let's talk about well, anybody, the Kennedys, Romney.
The
I'm trying to think of
Astros,
somebody rich.
The
That's
Astros,
the only
we
reason
got
I'm bringing
so
Trump in,
many
because he's
Ross Perot.
he gets the generational wealth. He starts at the finish line. So yeah, he's successful. I guess I would be successful if I had a dad that Trump had. So
Exactly.
he's passing it on to his kids. So they're not really adding much to the society we live in. They're just living off something that somebody else did in the past. So if you start them off, I'm not saying they have to be dirt broke, but they have all the advantages. So when you start off with millions and billions of dollars, and somebody else is starting, they may have more. The person that has less may actually contribute more to society, but the person that's rich is really just generational welfare is what it is. You're getting welfare from something that somebody like the Fords, the Rockefellers, all those people, they're living off of something that somebody way, 150 years ago did.
And typically,
I think they should have to start the same place as everybody else.
Right. And typically when someone has something handed to them, the value is not the same at all. That saying easy come, easy go is a real thing. We've seen a lot of wealthy families that have inherited generational wealth blow it because they didn't work for it. I mean, we can even look at, I always joke about the reparations of the PPP loan, right? Everyone's broke right now because they inherited that. Like, it was given to them. It didn't have the same value. I can look at my own life. When someone's giving me something versus when I bust my ass for it, like, it looks completely different how I spent, right? So I feel you on that, but I'll be nice. I'll be willing to give them some generational wealth. I'm willing to give you wealth. I'm willing to give you generational wealth.
Well,
I think it depends on how you're handing over that money.
That's
to.
true. Very
Right.
Definitely.
It depends, because a lot of, like, the Trumps, obviously, a bunch of assholes, right? But obviously it's like, I got money, here, you can have it. You can tell that man was not raised with compassion or values, or you can look at Trump and see that. But there's ways that you can, pass down generational wealth and teach someone to have compassion and just be a fucking human being. I know a couple people like that now.
That's true.
I know a couple of people like that. This is going to be spicy. But I do want to pull this comment out. I know he meant it as a negative, but it's a positive, and here's why. He said modern women are making a way for trans men. Let's dissect that for a minute. I think that part of the modern women population is trans women. Okay? And that's why I said, let me finish. Rock with me. When I said, will men be forced to evolve with modern women? I think modern women includes trans women and a lot of quote unquote men that identified as straight or heterosexual are now veering into dating trans women. And I know that crunches your buttholes, but that is the future and you cannot stop it. So that's another layer. That's another layer of it, whether you like it or not. So it's like evolve or evaporate, okay? Because there may be a trans woman that will take your funky broke ass over another woman. What are you gonna do? Be lonely and not have any women? That's another layer.
Yeah.
Don't hate the messenger.
Yep. But it's so crazy. Bessie and I have that conversation a lot, the kitchen table talk. And we were like, a lot of people are not ready for that conversation. They're really not ready for that conversation.
We're going to have that when we screen your film. We're going to get into that.
We're also going to have the conversation that it's not modern.
I know.
Right. The only thing that's modern is just that it's just more open and it's more spoken about. There's nothing modern about that. but
Very
we'll
true.
we'll
It still
go.
comes down to preference, Jen. You know, I mean,
Hmm.
you know, about whether that, you know, you could say whether they're open-minded, whether they're religious values, beliefs, whatever, whatever you want to throw in there.
Hmm.
It still comes down to preferences, right?
Hmm.
And some will, some won't. And
Hmm.
for
I'm
me,
just saying it's going to be an option. It's going to be
yeah,
Options.
an
right.
option.
Yeah. So
Options.
one thing I was going to tell you, said this right in the very beginning, Jen, and I wanted to point this out.
Hmm.
Part of my graduate degree was done in finance and economics, and I can tell you that for a fact that in 1970, my father was able to. He was an iron worker. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's blue collar construction. Okay,
I do. Mm.
and so he's doing that, and he's making, I think, at the time, it was like $30,000 in 1970. $30,000 in 1970
Pretty
was
good.
a
That's
pretty good
100
salary.
today.
Mhm.
Yeah, and my mom stayed at home, raised me and my sister. He had 2 car payments, a house note, all that good stuff, right? And then we went off the gold standard in 1971. And
Mhm.
then, as Jen, you were around too, and you probably remember your parents talking about the high inflation days of the 1970s.
Well, I came in 73.
Yeah,
I remember it though.
yeah. And so, where the long story short is, your point about even today, even if, unless you're making well over 6 figures, any dude who thinks he's going to try to support a modern woman,
Mhm.
you know, just on his salary below 100 grand,
Mhm.
especially with housing prices, you
Mhm.
know, the way they are, you know, that's a fantasy. You're going to have both are going to have to work. And so in that regard, I think men need to, if they're inclined to have the woman to stay at home wife and all that, they really need to, either you're going to have to considerably downsize your lifestyle, and most modern women aren't going to be willing to do that, understandably. And so,
Especially when a lot of them have created a wonderful lifestyle for themselves.
Right.
exactly.
So they're
Yeah.
true. I mean, it's a great point, George, but men are, again, evolve with modern women or evaporate. You have 2 choices. Either you have a woman in your home that's as ballsy as you because she has to pay half the bills, or you're going to have to bust your ass and make more money so you could keep a woman home. There are 2 choices. There aren't any other choices. Or be single and miserable and bark about it on YouTube channels all day long. Those are your
Oh,
choices. That's it.
why is
You
misery
but
associated with being single?
Wait a minute. Wait, no, I didn't say that. I
Oh,
didn't
But
say that. You have to listen. Escucha. Okay.
escucha.
So those are the choices. Those are the choices. Either you bust your ass to make more money to keep a
right.
woman home and feminine,
Mhm.
or you let go of that traditional thinking and know she's going to be just as ballsy as you, because when a woman is in the workforce, that's a whole different woman in your house. That ain't, honey, what would you like on your salad? She doesn't exist. That's a different situation.
I think I
Or
think you're wrong on that one, and this is where
how so?
and where I think you're missing the boat at is that
Mhm.
this is one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, and that is innate natures within men and women, how
Mhm.
they're how they're how they evolved, whether God created them, whatever, is that the essential natures, you're almost fighting against yourself. If you're coming, see, one thing I know about men is that they don't want to come home and have to compete with their wife.
Mhm.
Everything's not a fucking competition about, oh, you're not cutting the strawberries right. Let me get over there and show you how to do it.
Mhm.
All that kind of stuff. And I've dated a hyper competitive woman. It was no fun. It was no
Mhm.
fun at all. And
Mhm.
but what I'm talking about is, you're right to the extent that, oh, get up and make my lunch and then cook my dinner, and you go to work all day. Now, I think that is totally unrealistic when both are working, right? But I think that in the end, and it's more about roles in the marriage, is that both are going to have to realize that they're leaders in one area. They should take the lead because that's where their talent lies. And then the other one, it leads in this. It's not in that role. It's not all or one, but I would say, um, I got the point in my mind. I just can't articulate.
Yeah, because I want to rebut, but I don't like, you have to tell me where I'm wrong so I can rebut.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to.
I think you're just ignoring the internal nature of women, in that you know you're fighting outside yourself, and it's going to create a lot more conflict in the relationship than would be necessary. Whereas if you kind of go to now this depends on, Jen, about what you mean by ballsy and how you envision yourself in a relationship, right? So I mean,
yeah. So here's the thing. Innately, right? Without anything touching us, say in a tribe somewhere, innately we are nurturers. We give birth, we breastfeed. The men go out and kill the bison and bring them back, right? That's nature. Then you insert money, and you have to pay to live, to breathe, to eat, to shit, to talk, to move, to wear clothes. You insert money, right? And things get expensive. So even if my nature, I think I'm very in an ideal situation. I'm very feminine. I love baking. I love cooking. I love raising children. I love family. I want to nurture everybody, right? That's my true nature. However, as soon as I start working to help a man maintain a home, nature goes out the window. And it's not a conflict for me. It's just I evolve into this human being now that has to survive and help someone else survive should I couple with them. Now, with that said, I could be single in my own home and stay feminine as fuck. But if I'm with a man and we're struggling to maintain this home, then my masculinity, and I'm just using masculinity and femininity because that's what motherfuckers are stuck on, right? Then my masculinity develops. It's like growing a scar or a scab over yourself in order to maintain, or else I will not survive. I will not survive trying to help that man just being a doting feminine woman. We will not survive. He needs my money. He needs my money to pay this car note. He needs my money to pay this rent. I could be alone and stay as feminine as fuck and mess around with different men. But now I've coupled with a guy who needs my money in order for us to have this bigger house and whatever. So we become a roommate of sorts, right? And of course it causes conflict, George. You are absolutely right. It causes conflict because that's not my true nature. My true nature is I breastfeed, I have babies, I nurture, I raise these children. That's my true nature. So it does. You damn right it causes conflict because he's not going to want that type of woman in his home, but he doesn't have a choice. And then divorce happens.
And then it's either one or both of you need to compromise in that regard.
Yes.
And I think what probably, this goes back to men, listen, everything's direct. And what I've learned about women is they can say the exact same thing, but it's more nuanced, and we miss that a lot of times. But I think what you're talking about is where, and how I kind of see it myself is that it's a partnership. And like I just said, certain areas I may be better at in it, and I'm the leader. And areas that you're better at, or my wife, whatever, she's better at, she's the leader. Like if she's really good at money and all that, I don't mind her giving me an allowance. I mean, if I'm not as good as she, she's gonna give me an allowance. Because she's helping keep us afloat and all that. All that stuff. And,
but smart man you are. Man you are. I want to pull this comment out. Black Republican, he's in denial. But anyway, he says, Jen, do you realize that by 2030, women between the age of 25 or 44 will be single and childless, which means more of them, I don't know, I'm not even going to be you because I don't know who he's talking to. More of them are going to be suicidal. You are fucking delusional. Women are choosing not to be married or have children or be in long-term. Women are choosing it. They are finding solace and peace and happiness in being single and childless. Why would that woman commit suicide?
That's what I don't understand. Like it's so weird to me.
And look at the suicide rate. It is you all. It is the men that are committing suicide, and that's now with women wanting them. So what happens when the modern woman explodes, right? And there are a lot of them running around. You guys are really going to be checking out. You're really going to be checking out because you're not going to know what to do. So it's not going to be us committing suicide after choosing not to deal with men, after choosing not to be doting wives, after choosing not to be mothers with one on the tit and two on the hip. It's not going to be us checking out. It's not going to be us deleting ourselves.
Jen, let me say something real quick. So look, everybody says men are pigs, right? And we are kind of, right? So I don't understand why guys are against this whole concept of the modern woman. With that concept, right? You get to fuck bitches to the day you die. So what the fuck what's the gripe for? I don't get it.
What is the gripe? The gripe.
We're pigs. That's what we like to do. So the concept of the modern woman that opens the floodgates. Everything is all freedom. Anything goes. So I don't understand why men don't. You should be caping for that. I should have a
Okay,
big
so
giant
okay, Reese, so you have a great point. What's wrong with men is the hypocrisy, because men have always wanted to be dogs and pigs out in the street, and they always wanted to come home to a doting feminine wife. And now men are realizing the joke's on you, Jack. So you might as well embrace, right, and let go of having this doting, feminine, traditional, baking cookies and pies and having children. Right?
That's out here. You can have that.
Yeah, but it's usually not in the package that men want. We went over that. That's the problem.
The physical package?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
And this is the other thing too, what I think they don't understand is when you put together, as a woman, when you worked hard to put together a life that you built pretty much on your own, right? You have all of the monetary things you want, as well as the peace and the peace of mind, right? Then you're very careful about adding another human into that dynamic, because it's like, this life is good. Like, don't come in here fucking this shit up. Like, I don't want to be here arguing with nobody. Like,
I'm confused about something Jen said, right? So you said that the humble female chicks on the earth don't look like the other ones, right?
Absolutely not.
The ones that men would want to be wifeys, right? This is what I've noticed. This is what I've noticed with my eyes. Maybe it's exclusive to this area, right? But those are the chicks that men wife that are feminine are dimes. The real dimes. I ain't talking about all these plastic chicks with all this makeup and weave and lashes and all that bullshit. I'm talking about chicks with virgin faces and virgin hair. Those are the dimes on the earth. The people who made up the phrase dime piece, we decide who the fuck a dime piece is. Not nobody else. Us. Right? And that's what a dime is. The dime is the one who has never had makeup on her face in her life. And she's 30 or 40. Right. See what I'm saying? Or the dime is the one that has never had weave, no augmentations whatsoever. She's the way God put her here, and magazine beautiful. That's the dime. Those chicks that are feminine get wifed like that, and the men never let go. Never let go.
I've never heard a bigger crock of bullshit. I mean, I'm swimming in the bullshit right now. There's so much of it.
It's all
over. Like, I'm just like throwing the bullshit off me. I'm like, God, this is a lot of bullshit.
You can't discredit one thing I've said.
I can discredit everything you said. It sounded nice. I'll pass the mic. Go ahead, Lily.
It sounded great, but what we're going to do is we're going to ride on over to IG real quick. Let's just, you all ready to get your seatbelts on? We're going to ride on over to IG real quick.
Click.
All right. Yes. Right. And we're going to go to the girl who's never had any of those things, the virgin look and the nappy hair or the short, and we're going to see how many followers she has and look at her comment section. And then
wait a minute, before you do that.
No, let her finish. Let her finish. Hold on, Reese. Let her finish. Reese, let her finish, and then you can respond. Then we're going
to ride on over to Miss BBL, right? We're going to see
it's better that way. Watch what I do.
Hold on. But then I already know what's going to come next. I already know what's coming
next. You already know what they're going to say. They don't get married, though. But go ahead, Lily. Go ahead, Lily.
Okay, so we're going to go on down the aisle, right? We're going to go on down the aisle. Woo! With Miss Natural, with Miss Dime Piece, right? But baby, who they usually cheat on? Who they usually cheat on Miss Natural with?
Who are they following, even though they're married to the Natural?
Miss Natural, right?
Y'all missed the last part. Y'all missed the last part. Miss Natural is magazine beautiful without all that bullshit. You don't downgrade from Miss Natural Dime to the fucking carbon copy. There ain't a man breathing going to do that.
Oh, Reese, you sound so. I mean, this is Disney. I'm waiting for the.
Remember, watch this. The world is going to be on Lily's side. Lily wins this debate because this is Planet Dickhead. The majority is always wrong. See, I'm Yoda. I'm a fucking dragon, man. I'm different. You know that. You remember the first time I came up here.
No, okay. First of all, Reese, calm down. Now, everything you said.
I'm hot.
Sounded,
it's hot in here. I'm getting mad.
turn the air on. Turn on the AC, Reese. Stay with us. Stay with us.
Bullshitting. It's like 90 degrees in here.
So
I'm kind of pissed at that.
I will say this, right?
Yeah.
What you said is not foreign. It's what a lot of men preach, that they like the natural woman. They like the virgin skin and the virgin. I mean, men preach that all day long. It's what they do. And then we watch society and what happens when men are left to their own devices. They're cheating on that virgin that they got at home with the skank, with the hoe, with the slut, with the one that's for the streets. They wait for the one that's for the streets because they want their turn. And they think because they won't marry her that she's less than the wife. But here's my theory. Your wife is less than her because you took vows with that bitch. And as soon as something with a fat ass walked down the hallway, you said, you're not that important. Hope you don't find out, but I'm going to get me some of that. So in my opinion, what you promised yourself to is less than, but you guys have convinced yourself that hoe is less than. Your wife is less than because she has to wash the pussy juice from that woman out of your drawers. All right. And you think you can diminish that woman by saying, but they don't get married though. But these women destroy marriages. And they destroy marriages every fucking day. So it sounds good when a man is like, we like the one with the virgin skin, and the one that never wore eyelashes, and the one that, and then your actions say the complete, and I mean the complete, not even a little opposite, the complete opposite. These women are getting BBLs because y'all are so ass hungry and pussy. Y'all don't even care that the asses are fake.
Right.
Who don't?
Y'all don't even care that the asses are fake.
This is Planet Dickhead. I just said that. This is Planet Dickhead.
If I gave, all right then. So then let's not pretend. Let's not pretend that men like the virgin skin and their
y'all talking
hair,
about the one guy you see.
That's what they told you.
No, what about the 1,000 guys that got the dimes that don't cheat? Everybody got their eye on the one guy that dips off with the ratchet bitch.
No, saying
one
guy.
Let me tell you something. I worked in a barbershop.
Well, I don't care where you were.
When the one guy does that, the other 9 get on his ass and we dog him.
Okay, now Reese, I know you.
I made that up.
I know you made that up. I'm like, what?
I can't believe this.
Listen, the reason why I stopped going to barbershops is because of the opposite. Because I would hear men openly talking about fucking other bitches. And no one holds them accountable.
I didn't mention those men.
Right, but my thing
I'm talking about the men that got dimes at home. That was a dime 10 years ago, going to be a dime 10 years from now. You know who these women are. They're in your neighborhood. They're in every neighborhood. You know where they are.
Let's pass the mic real quick because No Saint wanted to say something.
No, I mean, I like a girl with extensions in her hair, bamboo earrings, at
least 2 pair, a Fendi bag, and a bad attitude.
But
that's funny.
I like natural women, but I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've never yet had an opportunity to feel a woman with fake breasts, but I think they look really good.
Fantastic.
I've seen plenty at Mardi Gras on women that were in their 40s, and you can't say they don't look better than natural at that point in their life because
I do respect the artistic nature of makeup. Like it's sorcery, but it's magic at the same time.
Sorcery, I got you.
Yeah, it's identity fraud. It's all type of crimes and all that shit. But it's art. So,
but what I was
2-sided coin.
I don't necessarily like I do look at the Instagram girls with the BBLs or whatever, but that's not somebody I would want. But I'm not against. Listen, I'm not against work. If I had the money, I would get a lot of work done myself, most likely. You know what I mean?
Right.
Fuck.
See, but then that's why women keep doing it because as much as y'all claim you don't like it and don't want it and don't want to marry it, you're so. I don't mean you. No, I mean in general, men.
Okay. You're right.
As much as men say that's not what they prefer. That's not what they. As much as they say that, they are so far up their women's asses that if those women open their mouths, you could see the man blinking inside in her throat. That's how far. That's
It's
how
so true.
far up the asses of those women these men are. So it doesn't matter. Listen, you can call me all kinds of shit or whatever, but if I have 3 million of you following me on my Instagram and I can monetize all you clowns who say you don't prefer me because I got a
Fuck 'em.
BBL, I
Get
don't
'em.
give a fuck that you talking about you wouldn't marry me. I got 3 million of you following me on Instagram and I can monetize you idiots who claim I'm not the one for you.
Any man,
Those
Planet
women don't
Dickhead.
care.
Planet Dickhead.
Those
Any
women
man
don't
that
care.
follows an
It's true,
Instagram
Reese.
bitch deserves what happens to him. He
But Reese, I
deserves
feel
that.
like you're. But see, Reese, I feel like you are saying the same thing we're saying. Like most of these people are dickheads, and that's what a lot of women.
Yeah,
are
we're
dealing
just
with.
saying it differently.
Yeah, right, exactly,
Yeah.
right. But
Right.
it's like trying to sift through to find that nugget that really truly does want the natural woman that wants to stick with her. That can appreciate. Yeah, okay, this is a beautiful woman, but like that's pretty difficult.
Let me give my disclaimer though. Philadelphia is much, much different than the rest of the nation, and we have more of that here than the other places. Like,
Oh,
That was
It's
such bullshit. I slid right out. I slid
Right.
on it.
that's funny.
I slid on it. Let me get to these super chats really quickly. Thank you so much for this super chat, Tristan. Where are you? I can't see it. Oh, how did I lose it? Oh, that's some bullshit. I
which one
slid.
you looking for?
I slid out of the thing, and I don't see Tristan's super chat. Do you see it, Lily?
I'm looking for it right now. And did you get Haran's super chat?
I see Haran's. I don't see Tristan's.
Okay,
Do you
let me
see?
find his.
It was damn it. I slid out of this shit.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
You see it?
Tristan's
Can
is
someone
$10.
can you read it for me, please?
Yeah,
It is a fact.
Kristen
Oh, go ahead.
says for $10. He says it's a fact these straight men have issues, and he puts it in quotes with trans women. It's kind of funny how many times we see these passport bros post videos, and the women they are praising are men. In Thailand, so yeah.
Especially in
Hello.
Thailand, because you can't tell.
The lady boys. Thank you for the super chat, Haran DeMarco. He says submission ain't never been free. If all else fails, bros, go get you a tried and true pick me. By the way, Haran DeMarco album dropping on March 10th on streaming services. Back to work. Thank you, Haran. And I'll be playing. I've been lazy, but I'll be playing some of Haran's music at the beginning of the show at the intro, so you guys can hear what he's working with. Okay, and then you could go make that purchase and support the brother. Let me really quickly. Let's get to the other 10. There may be something in here for us to pick apart. The next 10 of the characteristics of a modern woman, not necessarily wanting to work in a high-powered career, but want to know it's an option if she works hard, happy to lead a business meeting, being a good friend, sticking up for other women and men, showing compassion and kindness to everyone, preferring going Dutch on a dinner date, but if a man wants to pay, she's all right with that. Happy to be a stay-at-home mom, safe in the knowledge this doesn't mean she's a lesser woman, loving herself as a female. She loves other women, and you love men. Loving yourself as a female, you love other women, and you love men as well. Encourage daughters and sons to think beyond gender roles, and always voting and encouraging others to do so. So those are some more characteristics of modern women.
This is the lady that's going to ruin the world, right?
She's going to ruin mankind. Damn
her
you,
and those trans people. I swear they're going to ruin the world. I'm telling you.
What is happening to society?
How can you ruin something that's already fucked?
Well, then there's that.
I mean, we got so many things. Like, it's crazy.
This planet went to hell in the 80s, man.
Well, hold on, because you sounded like "Make America Great Again."
Right. Hold on now.
Follow the music, man. The phonological loop. I gave that lesson on this channel. It was historical.
Now the music. Okay, we go to the music. Yeah, like after the 90s, it was a rap. It was a rap.
Yo, human beings operate off of frequency. That's not your blood cells and the physical part of it. All the other shit. The orgasm you can't feel, fear, happiness, all that stuff you don't know what it is, you can't put on a petri dish, that operates off of frequency. Our masters figured that out, right? With the stolen knowledge. So now they know how to control us. And all they got to do is just put certain images in front of us and sounds, and they can get us to do whatever they want. And they don't even do the shit that we do.
Well, I want to answer this. Black Republican says, I have never had a woman with fake BBL or fake tits. Can you afford her?
Right.
Because a woman with can you afford her? Are you attractive enough to, hold on. Are you attractive enough to keep a woman with fake tits and a BBL? And if you're not attractive, do you have enough money to maintain a woman with fake tits and a BBL? Because those women have a lot of options because of men. Because men like looking at it, men like fucking it, and men like being around it. So you've never had one. Right. You've never had one, but can you afford it? One, or are you attractive enough to keep one? Because those women, unfortunately, for anyone who likes them, they have a lot of options thanks to men. Okay.
Yeah,
not thanks to women.
And when I look at BBLs, I think it's almost like it used to be with the women that got at the time. I think it's maybe trendy when women used to get the huge boobs, like
the 90s
right?
boobs. That was the 90s boobs.
The ones that
Right.
are so unreal, right? And for guys, I think we sort of like looking at it because it was so big, but not necessarily like I wouldn't have wanted a woman with those huge boobs. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted her as, and not like I wouldn't want her like she's lesser. I'm just saying it's a bit much. And I think the same thing for me with these BBLs. It's kind of fun to look at.
Matthew. Thank you for the super chat, Matthew Young. He says, my future wife better have a BBL. Thank you for the truth. Thank you for the truth with the super chat. Can these men just stand up and tell the damn truth? Free yourself.
Nuts.
Free yourself.
Planet chicken.
Jeez.
And if
Or are
you
those
don't,
BBLs so tight that you can bounce a quarter off of it? That's
Some
my
of
Be
them
thought.
patient, brother.
Some
Be
of them
patient.
are.
Wait 20 years. 20 years. Just be patient.
Well,
You'll
that's
see.
kind of my point, was that I think the BBLs will come down in size, and
Nah, they're
just
gonna
like-
die.
Well, they
They're
already
gonna
are.
die.
Well, they have-
dog.
yeah,
They're
they
dying.
already are.
just like
They're doing it
breasts
now.
have come down.
They
in
already
size.
have.
They're doing it now.
Yeah.
Fucking with God, man.
Mhm.
Fucking crazy.
Reese, I need you. I don't want to keep lowering my headphones.
My bad, y'all. I'm being
Thank
silly
you.
too. I don't believe.
Okay.
No.
All right. So I'll go on to the next 10. Thank you for this super chat, Don Levon. Oh, Don Levon left me a little paragraph. He says, I love modern women. I want my woman to be able to work and pay her own bills. How else is she going to be able to afford to live in her own house when we get married? I mean, that makes the most sense. I think that's the only way I'll get married, if he lives over there and I live over here and we have a booty call every now and then. Believe me to my space and my colors and my silver bear.
Right. At this point, just thinking
It makes more sense. It's hard to live with people. It makes more
really
sense.
is.
You have to you got to compromise and put up with so much shit when you live with somebody.
And
Yeah.
the thing is like the thought of me cohabitating with someone at this stage it gives me the craziest anxiety.
right. Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Now imagine all the women back then who had to do it. So it's funny when people say, well, my parents been married for such and such year. My grandmother was married. They had no they had no choice. They had fear of being out there on their own. And then once you're 10 years in, 15 years in, 20 years in, grandma was like, fuck it.
I told you what happened. I
It's the devil you know.
posted this a couple years ago, and I was so shocked by the responses from the women when I said, if you could live in opposite houses from your spouse, would you? Some were married, some weren't. But overwhelmingly, the women came out in droves and said, fuck yes. And as a matter of fact, I wish I would have negotiated those terms prior to getting married, because it's too late now. He's not going to go for it now. But I would have much rather lived in a separate house.
And it's not even, where Cox Odia says, no choice, laughing my ass off. Wow. Not even that. It was just that traditionally, it just wasn't, the world wasn't made for a woman that was, I am woman, hear me roar. Like that took fucking marching and bills and laws being passed and, women rebelling and burning their bras. Like, so our grandmothers, except for my grandmother was a fucking badass. She was working like when the Titanic went down. Amazing woman. She had a job and everything. But, most women were like, why go against the grain and go out there and deal with that shit? I'll just stay here and raise these babies because I don't want to deal with that shit. Like women were fearful back then. So they just like got comfy in that life. But we're seeing what happens when you give humans in general options. You see real humanity. You see real, like, I don't want to be tied down. And again, we're not saying that we don't want men. We got to take the word fucking need out of there, first of all. So we're not saying that we don't want men, right? We're saying that we don't need them, but concentrate on we still want y'all versus we don't need y'all. Concentrate on we still want y'all. We still want men. We just don't need y'all. And it seems like men they're finding a very difficult time with that transition. It's hard for them to grasp because they feel like their power is getting taken away. And I say again, when we look at this picture, you can call him a simp. You can call him a baby mama. I see a man that evolved with a modern woman.
Right.
And he is happy about it. Okay.
That's one thing I love about my brother. My brother is typical masculine male. He's the stay-at-home dad and he's a provider. Okay. My brother's retired. He retired at like 30 something. Makes very good money in retirement, and he chose to stay home with the children. He's very much more hands-on than his wife is. His wife is more career driven, and it works for them. They discussed that prior to getting married, prior to having children, and it works for them. He doesn't feel emasculated. He enjoys it, and that's just not her. She's not built. She knows it. And I love that about her. When I was down there last couple of weeks ago, her and I had that talk, and she was just like, "I'm not built for babies and little creatures and stuff like that. Like they got to come back to me when they get a little bit older. And we can go shopping together and do all that stuff." And I said, "It's funny. My mom was like that."
See, and this is why you see how all these guys, like their dick shrinks like to a little one, and they all get so mad. Look, John Lee, ridiculous. You always need men. Ryan Adams. Kevin Samuels rolling over in his grave, right? This guy here, Jen, you need men for survival facts. I don't need a man for a goddamn thing, and I mean a goddamn thing. I don't need. I want a man, right? When I appreciate a man, I want a man. I don't need y'all for a motherfucking thing. Okay.
Well, how are you going to move your refrigerator, Jen?
Let's be clear.
A dolly.
If I can't move it, it will not be moved. But I'm not going to go run out and get a man because I need a man. I don't need a man for a goddamn thing. Now, do I want a man? Yeah, because I'm a heterosexual woman. But this idiocy of what do I need a man for? What do I need a man for? I'm not going to have any children. You need a man to have children. You could take that off the list. I don't need a man's money, so you can take that off the list. I got plenty guns in here, so you can take protection off the list. So what do I need a man for? You keep saying it, but what do I need a man for? Because a woman needs a man. I have fixed my faucet before. A woman needs a man, right? A woman needs a man literally to have a child. You can't have a child without sperm. But guess who's not having children? Hi. So now what do I need a man for? You sound dumb.
So when I laugh at this picture you keep showing, there's a couple of reasons I laugh. One, I think Cynthia G couldn't have taken a better photo.
Who?
Cynthia G. That's something she would put on her title.
You're talking about the Vogue thing?
And the reason I say this is because I'm going into my inner conscious community black male identity right now. the white man is making the black man look like a child. Because when I look at that photo, all I see is Rihanna, and it looks like the man looks like he's like the older child carrying his baby brother behind her as they're going down the, walking down the mall or whatever.
Yeah.
Hold on one second, because I got something for that. Hold on one second.
That is funny.
Well,
Because I'm telling you,
that is funny. I mean, if you want to take it that direction, I can see how, you can make it.
That's why I kept laughing.
I
I'm
was
like,
looking
I
at
can
these-
hear all the people in the conscious community saying that that's another photo making the black man look less than,
Right.
Well, I'll tell you, it does send the message that I guess in that particular relationship, it may be accurate, but he's less than her. Or because I was thinking, if we're going to have equality, then why aren't they walking together?
I don't know how much in that relationship financially. I assume she is the leader of the.
Well, she's the billionaire.
Yeah, she's the billionaire.
And I was going to bring it. Remember that y'all were talking about this.
I wanted to respond to, I had to do something really quick. I wanted to respond to No Saint. I think the reason why you're saying that, like, if that was someone built like The Rock, would you still feel that way? Because I think the problem with this picture specifically is that ASAP is a petite man. Let's start there. He's a petite man, right? He has his hair braided. I think that's what we're seeing, because if that was The Rock walking behind her or Jason Momoa, that picture would look different.
You might have a point there. You might have a point.
He would just look like he's supporting his wife.
Because that photo makes her look, and maybe she is that much bigger than he is. I mean,
that's true. I noticed that just now. When you just showed it the last time, I was like, "Damn, did they blow her up to look bigger?"
She looks massive, and like I said, he looks like the older brother carrying his baby brother, and she's holding his hand in the mall.
Yeah, I mean, if the red pill folks will take that picture and say, "See, this is further proof of the emasculation of men."
Of the black man, yeah.
Right, but see, this is the thing. I see a lot of people going in on ASAP sexuality, but he's the only one with a billionaire and knocked up a billionaire 2 times over. So I
don't know about it. I'm not saying anything about
so
his
whether
sexuality.
he's homo, whether he's hetero, whether he's bi, tri, or trilateral, but knocked up a billionaire 2 times over. I doubt that he cares about what you think about his sexuality. The man does wear dresses publicly. He don't give a fuck then.
Oh, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
I said I'm seeing a lot of these comments going in on ASAP sexuality and stuff like that. But guess what? All of those things could be true.
Right.
Yes,
he could be homo, he could be hetero, he could be bi, all of that. But he's living a life that you all aren't.
Right. Yes. And I keep seeing thank you, Tristan. Tristan to move my fridge. Fuck y'all. I keep seeing that. I've seen it a couple times. They're like, she's dating a Pookie. He's about to go to prison. Let me tell y'all something. Going back to what Lily said, this man has not one, but now another baby. So he has 2 babies from a woman that is a billionaire, one of the biggest pop stars in the world. That man is going to be better off behind bars than you are free.
It's just that simple.
Okay. For one, he's more than likely going to be in PC. For 2, she has money to buy the fucking court, the judge, and all his children. Okay. So if you think that Rihanna's going to let her baby daddy twice over do 25 to life, you are insane. Okay. Right. So that man in prison is going to be better off than a lot of you walking free, checking into your job tomorrow morning. Right. So let's stop. Let's stop it.
And this is the thing. Let's everybody together. Let's together as one big unit step into 2023. Okay. All right. Let's step into 2023.
They don't want to go in there. It's scary,
right.
Lily.
Right. And what this looks like stepping into 2023, because the thing is that, like, let me go back to this because they keep getting it like, oh, he's going to get prison dick, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, you all? He might be getting some good dick with Rihanna sitting right there, right now. You don't know that, right? This is 2023. People live however they want to live today, right?
That's more likely than you think.
It's more likely than you think. And so
No,
But-
Mr. Castle, I'm not your mother. That's your mother. Do not confuse me with yo mamas, okay? Do
Oh,
not
by the
confuse me
way,
with your mother.
anybody that survived 1994, 2023 is a cakewalk.
What happened in 94?
exactly.
It
Just
was the
like,
worst year in human history.
Oh, see, it was it
One of
shit.
them. One of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jen, you remember when y'all were talking about it's several episodes ago before I got on the panel or whatever, but it was Shakira and the dude, and he
Yes.
broke up with her.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw that interview, and you want to talk about dynamics when she's talking about, I forgot how they phrased the question to her, but it was kind of like, who's kind of like running the show here. And she kind of like said, I am, and he kind of winced. And I was like, oh boy, you committed you made him look bad. You made him look bad in front of because he's from Colombia too, I think. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, no. Even though it may be true, you gave a truthful answer. It's
wait, can you repeat that? Because I want to address it. I'm sorry.
Okay. What I'm saying, remember when in the interview, and I forgot how they phrased the question. It's kind of, but if I had to distill it down, it's kind of like who's in charge in this relationship? And she said, like, I am, and he doesn't mind. And I saw him kind of like wince, kind of like look down. I was like, oh, this was not good. And then I thought, you just cut his nuts off right there in front of everybody. And then when I found out he went and fooled around on her with this younger girl, I was like, man, I saw that coming. And I was like, so I guess my point is like, in these dynamics like that, I think we got to be cognizant of, even though he's a man and he should be understanding and all that, he's still a man. And, you don't, I'm just saying, don't do that. So,
no, and I agree with you, right? Because we're all going to, when given the perfect scenario, we're going to fall back into our nature, right? Dig this. If I'm with a man and I got to help him with the bills, I'm going to be out of my nature because now I got to be his buddy. But if I meet a man who's taking care of all the bills, I'm going to be a different type of woman. Then I'm going to fall back naturally into my nature. That man specifically, the one that was married to Shakira, she was a novel idea. It's fucking Shakira, right? But she's a breadwinner, a multimillionaire. She's famous and popular. He also has his own money. He's a famous soccer player, whatever the hell. And it was probably a novel idea until you both go under the same roof. And now there's two bosses, right? So of course he's dealing now with a younger woman who probably doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. No one knows she's famous. So he gets to be the man around her. And that woman would never say in an interview with him, I'm the boss. She would never say that. So of course he's going to, stick with her because he wants to feel like I'm a man, I'm the head honcho. To answer Don Levon, if your house was on fire, would you want a woman to save you? If my house was on fire, because I know we like playing this game of worst case scenario, whoever the fuck is outside needs to come save me. If I need
cats and
saving,
dogs, rats,
right? Cats, whoever, a small person. I know you can't say a midget anymore. An autistic person, an armless person. If I need help, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But here's the thing: if my house was on fire and my child was in there or a relative was in there, guess who's not waiting for a man? Guess who's not waiting for a man to show up? Okay, I'm going in there to get my child, do or die. I'm not going to wait. Let me wait for this man to show up before I go run in there and get my children. So we can all play worst case scenario. We can all play worst case scenario. We can play worst case scenario all day. If you want a child, you need a woman. You can't do that without a woman.
So this is the thing, real quick, to speak to that. There are standards that the women firefighters meet that they don't cut them down. So if there's a woman, first of all, if she's not capable, there are other positions on the truck that she would be capable on. So she could run the engine, she could run, so there's plenty of things. So if they're not, if we know, if there's a firefighter and you're like, you got two huge men that are, she may be just as talented. The two huge men are gonna be the ones going in, and the women could be running the truck. But women, it's leverage. That the women are qualified that get into those jobs. They're not. Nobody's gonna, because you got to remember that every firefighter has to depend on the other firefighter. So you're not, if they're not qualified, then they're not going to be there.
Right. And again, what they hear, what men hear, they panic. And I'm gonna be completely frank. I think weak men panic.
Yes.
I think weak men panic.
Yes.
I go back to my daddy. There's not one feminazi on the planet that would make my father break a sweat.
Right.
Okay. There could be a feminazi. I am woman. Hear me roar. We can be firemen and we could be cops. And my dad would be like, that's cute.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't believe them.
Right. But whether or not,
he would not believe them.
He's not paying them no attention.
He's like, okay, that's
in his manhood.
Right. That's what I mean. Like he would never throw in a check. You need like my dad's like, okay. Like,
it's so funny.
What do you want us to do about it?
I'm with you on, like, and me and Jen talk about this a lot with that, the men in our life and the men in our family. I didn't hear these manosphere talking points until I entered the YouTube spaces. So now what's funny is, like, when I'm walking around on the streets and stuff, when I'm in New York just doing my thing, running my errands, I'm like, I wonder if you one of them motherfuckers to be in the chat. Like, are you that type? Like, because I'm like, who are you people? Where are you at? Where do you live?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Where do you work? Because I don't know these people
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jen, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have you met in public that are aware of this gender war on YouTube? I haven't met one.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I mean,
one girl at my job. That's it.
That's how I opened. Reese, it's funny you asked that, because that's how I opened the show. I said Planet YouTube is a whole different thing. When we go out in the real world, just regular people, you don't even have to be gorgeous. You don't have to be 5'10" and although Lily is. You don't have to be 5'10" and gorgeous and a model, and you don't have to be 6-figure anything. You just have to be a well-rounded human being, and you're not going to run into this garbage out in the real world.
You don't.
It's just not going to happen, because someone's going to like you somewhere. Someone's going to dig you somewhere. You don't have to be but on YouTube, these people will have you believe that men and women hate each other and no one's, and there are war and modern woman and feminine men sitting in this. It's Planet YouTube, and it's great to entertain. Don't get me wrong, it's great to entertain in case these motherfuckers spill over into society. It's great to entertain the conversation. But this isn't, YouTube is not fucking real life. These guys all day, ASAP is gay. People are laughing at him. Who the fuck is laughing at billionaires? If you are a thousandaire and you're laughing at a billionaire, the joke's on you, not on ASAP.
I'm like,
Jen, I got a funny joke for y'all.
Wait a minute. If you had a child with a woman that has to go to work because you can't take care of all the bills in your house and she had to go to work, if you are arguing with a baby mama over child support, okay, if your baby mama hates you right now, if you can't even afford to have a child, the joke's on you, not on ASAP. The jokes, no one's laughing at ASAP. Like, you laughing at ASAP is like the dog howling at the moon. They can't see you.
They don't know.
They can't see you. It's a different world. They can't see you. Weirdos.
I cut hair, right? And one of my stops was a house where everyone in the house is mentally challenged, right? Is that the word?
Okay.
We'll go with that. It doesn't.
We'll go with that. It's nice and safe.
But everybody know what I mean, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them are in wheelchairs and can't even function on their own. Mm-hmm. And they're all men. Now, there are female houses that are set up like this too. And they have balls, dances, and events where these people can meet each other. They're all mentally challenged and have something in kind. All of these guys have girlfriends. Now, these people are mentally challenged and they don't have the problems we have.
Right.
They don't. I haven't heard a pink pill comment or a red pill comment ever.
It'd be funny if you did, though.
It's true.
I've seen autistic communities where people are coupled up. I've seen little people coupled up. We've seen they have all kind of shows. So that's why I don't understand, but then I do, because what I think we were able to get out on a few of these shows is that it's not that they can't find anyone. It's just that they can't everyone wants the dime. Every single person wants the dime. Everybody. Right?
Yeah, whether it's
you know what it is,
woman,
Lily?
whatever, yeah.
The people that we're talking about, right? Like, take the YouTubers, for example, right? The YouTubers, for the most part, are not the people that they're talking about, right? And that's why I get a lot of those things wrong. The only way you can get 100% of that right is to be in that lane and part of that madness, right? So we're in observation, and we don't like what we see because it affects us, because we carry that badge with us everywhere we go because of how we look, right? So everybody's giving commentary on it. It just turned into a war. Those things that everybody's saying, Cynthia G and Kevin Samuels and all of those things are going on just the way they say them. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we get emotionally caught up because we know we didn't do none of that shit, right? Even though it doesn't apply to us, or maybe some of us have and have outgrown it, right? But it was still like a fire underneath you, and that's how it turned into combat. So
I want to let me really quickly. Thank you for the super chat, Matthew Young. Matthew Young says, "Play your role." Stedman played his role with Oprah. Also, someone said men don't care about how much money women make. You're full of shit because you guys cannot run a home. You cannot afford to run a home on your own and take care of a wife and take care of children and take care of those 2 car notes. You very much care. I don't know why you let Kevin Samuels blow that smoke up your ass, because you guys know you do not qualify to run a home and all the bills by yourself. So now that Kevin is dead, can we move on and you come back to your reality? You need a woman's purse. You need a woman's purse. So please stop saying men don't care about how much money women make. Because if you took a wife on right now, or if you have a wife, she is going in her purse. She is not home baking pies. You know it, and I know it. You know it, and I know it. So can men stop saying that stupid shit? Because Kevin Samuels blew that smoke up your ass, and you running with it, you parrot it, and you know damn well it's not true. You very much care that a woman can help you with the house bills. Knock it off. Stop.
Jen, how long have you been in Las Vegas? How long do you live there?
5 years. 5 years.
Okay, so what you know about the place, for a man to like carry the whole load for the financial, what kind of income with the house, and with a house that we're going to make some assumptions here, probably a 2,500, 3,000 square foot house. What kind of income would he need? About 200,000 to 300,000?
Not even. I mean, it depends on the house, but I say if you make
area called Stonebridge, which I understand is
Summerlin.
Summerlin, yeah.
Summerlin or whatever. I don't want to guess. I don't know. I don't live in Summerlin, so I can't even guesstimate. But I would say if you make about $75,000 here, you could live nice in a gated community with a pool and all of that. Okay. Now, if you want to live in Summerlin, now you got to make more money. But the thing that I liked about Nevada is that you could live in a very nice, quiet neighborhood, gated community, right? With great neighbors, pool in the back, lots of space, 2-story home, and make $75,000. Right? Where in New York,
out there, isn't it?
Huh?
It's in the middle of the desert.
In New York, we're not okay, Jen. We're not okay.
Right? Like in New York, $75,000.
That's an efficiency in the hood.
Like $150 in New York, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why I left. That's why I left.
And you and millions of others.
And you had to pay taxes, city taxes, and state taxes.
That's why I left, because in New York, I was like, hold on, quality of life. I literally felt like I was making money to give to bills. Like it wasn't my money. It was like, I didn't even get to hold on to it. It was like, okay, this ain't mine. Thank you. I worked, you know what I mean? Thanks for the money. Now I can give it to them. And that's not a good quality of life. I was like, I'm not going to live like this anymore. New York is nuts. LA is nuts.
Being there now.
Well,
I couldn't.
Now, and it's crazy. And then when I have to work in LA, when I have to do gigs in LA, I have to pay both California and New York taxes.
Right.
Lily, move out here, Lily. Move out here.
Yeah, it's crazy. And living
it's so close to LA. It's a 45-minute flight, 4-hour drive. Come on here, Lily. Without LA prices. LA prices.
Yeah, well, like here in Jacksonville, where I live, median home price is around $300,000. So if a dude's going to have to pull that, he's going to have to make, if you do the ratio, twice the income, say 300,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, you're going to have to make 150. The median income in Jacksonville is like $50,000. So we're already talking about in professions, you got to be like in my profession, you've got to be a professional, something like that, in order to just afford the house. Then you stack on top of cars and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're talking about somebody that has to
but that's why I said, right. But George, that's why I said, it depends on how you want to live and who you want to live with. That's all it is. If you want a $300,000 home, right, you have to understand that, okay, my woman's going to have to help me with this. We're going to be a team, but don't expect her to come sliding down the banister in a thong, right?
Yeah, well, I'm
that's my
more or
thing.
less supporting what you're saying. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah. No. I'm adding to it.
Okay.
So, it's one of the, either you have to downsize so you guys can live comfortably and still be able to vacation, right? Because we don't all need a 5-bedroom home with 5 baths, right? Unless you want to live that way. But remember, the more you get, the more you're going to have to come out of pocket. I'm about good quality of life. Is where we live safe? Do we have good neighbors? Is there a pool in the back? Because I live in Nevada. You know what I'm saying? Are the schools good enough, right? So that's how I'm thinking. But some people live beyond their means. That puts a stress on the relationship. It puts a stress on the marriage, right? So it's like, make better decisions, pick better people, right? And if you want a woman at home, understand that if you live in New York or LA, you better have a good job, or you better move her to Arizona or Nevada.
That's very true.
So
you have choices.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you made a lot of good points. So where I live, houses are expensive because we don't have a lot of land to expand. So housing in general is expensive. So I took a smaller house in a good school area, obviously less crime, all that good stuff. And I make a little over 6 figures. But the reason I didn't go, I don't have a boat. Some people that marry their wife that, has the same income as they have, they will have the boat. But at the same time, I choose to, like, okay, I'm going to Europe with my son this year. Went to Mexico earlier in this year. That to me is way better than any kind of house that you can buy. And believe it or not, this house I have has gone up, it's if I sell, I'm going to make money off of it. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? So you can make it off of, you can, like she said, you can make it. I didn't realize Vegas was that in it, 75 grand.
Yeah, I was.
Right,
but I got 3 kids, so it's different. When you have 3 kids, it's a little different. You gotta, you gotta support that too.
That's another thing. Stop having kids.
Right. And this is the thing, right?
No, I mean, for people that don't, it sounds great. Like, let's have 2 points. Because I hear people that don't have kids, like, yeah, I want to have 3 kids. Okay.
Right.
All right. Good luck with that.
It comes down to priorities and what's important to you, right? For me, like first of all, I like house living is really not me, because I don't want nothing to do with a yard. I don't want shit to do with it. I've done the 3-bedroom house with the big yard, and I did that because I thought that was an American dream. That wasn't my dream. I found out, right? I'm like, what I have now is literally what I like. I have 3 bedrooms. It is just me in here. So for New York City, that's doing very freaking well. But the thing is, I'm like, Saint, for and you too, Jen, is like, I want to live in a safe neighborhood,
right?
Things like that. But I don't need no big house, because I like the vacation. Like, I like to do 2 things with my money. I like to eat my money, and I like to travel my money.
Yeah, and real quick to what Jen was saying earlier, eventually I imagine I'll get this. I want a tiny house and I can live by myself.
You ain't lied, no Saint. Me and you.
I want one of those little one-story joints.
Now, it's a small room. I grew up when I was a kid. I had the smallest room in the house, and I got to where I like having that. I like being in smaller rooms. I like being, I just love it. I want a tiny house.
Oh, you do just fine in jail.
The fire department.
Hey, Jen, I got a surprise for you, I think. I think my daughter's going to join the stream in about 5 minutes. She wants. I talked to her and convinced her to come.
And we're about to close.
Ah, that's fucked up.
We're about to close.
She went
We
to a
will be back
modeling
tomorrow.
event in L.A., man. I wanted her to tell you about it.
Well, tell her come tomorrow. We'd
I
love to
will.
have her. We love the youngins now.
My
How old is
daughter ain't
she?
coming to no Freaky Friday.
How old is she? Tomorrow's not Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we wouldn't invite her for Freaky
No. How old
Friday.
is she? How old is she?
oh shit.
Roundabout, Reese. Roundabout.
24 or something. I don't know. She gets
Sound like my
graduated
dad,
college.
actually.
She got her bachelor's, so I'm assuming she's like 24. I don't know none of my kids' ages and none of that shit.
My dad is horrible.
Okay, well, she's 20 something. Tell her please come tomorrow and tell us about her modeling event. We would love to hear it.
I'm trying to get
Absolutely.
some females to come up here, but it's
And
a tense
I love-
situation. They can't be seen.
I love
Hey.
supporting young models. I really do.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
don't-
we can kick it a little bit. Lily
I
could
didn't
give
want
her
her to
some.
do the shit, but it's too late, so I don't say nothing.
I feel you because
Is
I
it?
actually try to talk them out of it first, but then when I realize that it's something they really want to do, then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll take your hand.
I was in that industry for years. That shit is corrupt and foul.
It's a lie.
Yeah, but that's life. Just build
That's
yourself
life.
some strong kids.
Yeah.
Raise some
Right.
strong kids. Don't hide the world from them. Let them know this is what it's gonna be and this is how you're gonna end up if you fuck off. Raise you some good kids. And then we have to, you know what I mean? We do the best with what we can, teach them as much as we can, but realize they're a human being whole without you. They're gonna make their own choices no matter what we do, no matter what we want. They're like it's a whole other entity, a soul running around who's gonna do what they want the fuck to do. So, but trust me, our warnings and our teachings stay in the back of their head.
That's a fact.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it's always like
The reason I say that, another reason I say that, my dad used to always preach about defensive driving. And I'd just be sitting there, I didn't give him any response, but I watched what he did and I always know, okay. And, I'm always like putting enough distance in between. It's always like defensive driving. You got to watch out for everybody else.
we remember, even if we're not paying attention at said time and we get older, we'll be like, nah, my dad would have done this.
Yeah. I got out the house and rebelled against everything.
Yeah.
Just because. And then, but then I came back to it,
Of course.
it was there. It was the seeds were planted. So,
Of course.
yeah.
All right, guys. So we're going to close. We just hit the 2-hour mark. Reese, please tell your baby come through tomorrow. We'd love to meet her. This was really, really a good conversation. I did use the word evolve. I didn't say we don't want men. We love you guys. I know the women here do anyway. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Upper body strength is amazing. Thank you for opening our jars. Thank you for reaching the top shelf. We appreciate you.
We need you. We admire you. We
honor
you.
We do.
We do.
Long enough to peel a banana.
There's no man hate here whatsoever. If anything, we're trying to help. We are trying to help because the modern woman is going to be the modern woman no matter what you say or how many streams you get on or how many times you quote Kevin Samuels. Women don't give two nary a fucks. So with that said, guys, we are out and my battery's dying anyway. So come back mañana. This was amazing. This was a feel good one. We learned a lot. All right. Thank you for sharing, guys. This was really, really good. Good night.
Good night.
Love you all. Good night. I'll say it for Tristan. If you guys are still here, please hit that like and subscribe. Hit me up, Cash App on the Block with Jen if you're getting the replay. Don't forget to leave me comments in the comment section because that helps my algorithm too. We will see you guys here mañana. Don't forget on the Block with Jen at Gmail, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and Gmail if you want to contact me personally. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your evening. I hope you enjoyed this show. I thought it was enlightening. All right, guys. And we're out. Good night. Even the clowns in the chat. Good night.